They're now splitting off into multiples because they don't have any cohesion. Oh, that's fantastic. Highly recommend not doing it against Battanians. Oh, that was a nice hit. Oh, that was a nice one too. What? This is absolute insanity. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're literally going to charge everyone. Yes, everybody, let us charge. Hello and welcome back to our Sturgian Viking, and we are here attempting to persuade Mr. Encurion to join us, because of course now that we have everything has a price, we have a little bit more bargaining power at our disposal. And while I'm only going to be, again, persuading a maximum of 10 vassals from elsewhere, I think Encurion is going to be a very worthwhile addition. So we've already gotten Mantios as far as I remember, so that is 1, and so we've got 9 to go, and hopefully Encurion is going to be the second that will indeed end up joining us. As you can see, however, he doesn't actually have that much money. He's not joining us for free. We outnumber him significantly. I don't know whether vassals really take that into account when you're actually in a sort of fisticuffs kind of situation, but we'll see. And also, we do have, well, he basically has no fiefs whatsoever, so we should be able to persuade him. Yeah, as you can see, we can persuade him pretty easily. However, it is going to be quite expensive for me, so I'm thinking, what if I just give him a castle? What if I just give him a castle? Let's see what happens if I give him Gersagos Castle, because this is a castle that is a little bit more on the outlying areas of Sturgian territory. It's not really something that I'm too invested in keeping for myself. So I'm thinking I'm just going to I'm just going to give it to him. I'm just going to give it to him, and we'll see what happens with that. So there you go. Now he has joined us. That's also a reason why I personally feel like everything has a price is really strong, because you're going to be able to utilize fiefs in bargaining situations or in persuasion situations in comparison to just needing cash. Because personally, I feel like cash is kind of hard to it's kind of hard to quantify it really, whereas a fief you basically just go, oh yeah, that's the effort that I used to get that, and that's all you really, that's all you really know about it. For example, that Gersagos Castle actually took me not too bad. It's not too bad to take it. And you can see what's going on here. Adram's army is absolutely taking a chunking from the garrison at Remtoil Castle, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, bear in mind that if this army goes down here, I'm actually thinking that they've stopped. And look! They're now splitting off into multiples because they don't have any cohesion. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, you know what that means? Oh yes, we're going to be doing as much damage as we possibly can, trying to defeat as many of them as we can as well. And this is going to be on one of my favorite maps as well. As we know, this is kind of like a hybrid map. That's the reason why I kind of like it, because it features every single form of battlefield environment that you would otherwise want for pretty much every single unit class. And I'm talking about trees and hills for archers, mountains obviously as well in the case of that one over there, and then obviously you have flat battlefield for cavalry, and of course the trees are going to be a pretty significant benefit to infantry as well, because if you do have an infantry focused force and you wait in the trees for the cavalry to inevitably charge at you, then you're going to have a much easier time strategically to try and slow down the horses' advance and to slow down their mobility in a pretty great way. So that is the reason why this battlefield right here, while it may seem a little bit straightforward and maybe a little bit boring from a certain perspective, if you take a look at it from all the individual unit types, then you kind of realize that maybe, yeah, actually it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. So anyway, we're going to see what we can do here. I don't know if the enemy, is the enemy actually deciding to do the same thing, going up to the top of the hill here? Obviously, going up to the top of the hill is also fantastic for countering cavalry, but the main problem that I'm going to be having here is that these guys are basically just going to wait. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, as you can see there. I mean, we do have a pretty overwhelming combat strength, so I don't really blame them. And if we can fight in the trees themselves, it doesn't really matter where we fight, as long as we're in the trees of some kind. As you can see, huge amounts of arrows appearing out of nowhere. What a sneaky, sneaky thing indeed. Okay, we got to be a bit careful. Just a little bit, you know, just a little bit. Not too much, but yeah, just a little. All right, so now if we can get these guys to come over here. I only have 15 archers. Oh, absolutely pointless, isn't it? Yes, it's absolutely pointless to move around my archers at this point. I should just basically tell my infantry just to fully charge in and see what happens. I'd love to do that actually at some point where we have a pretty significant amount of enemies and just basically tell my infantry to charge and see what happens, because I know, yes, it's probably going to result in a lot of my infantry being murdered by a number of archers. Highly recommend not doing it against Battanians. Oh, that was a nice hit. Oh, that was a nice one too. What? Iceni's on a bit of a roll here. Oh, very nice. Good work. Good work. Okay. So let's see if I can maybe do a little bit of damage with my two-handed as well. Got to be a bit careful though, because Azurai, they are known for their thrown weapon. Oh, they're known for their thrown weapons, as I was about to say before I cleaved that guy. Well, not in two, but I did cleave him pretty significantly. Whoa, this is fun. Oh, yes. Get in there. Get in there. Do some massive damage. But look at that. See, now that's the thing. Very straightforward strategy. Stay shield wall until you're within striking distance, and then tell your relatively fast-moving units to just charge. Oh yes, with reckless abandon, bloodthirst in their minds, and, well, bloodlust in their eyes, and various other extremities, I suppose. Anyway, there you go. We actually lost 0 units, which is fantastic, and this is exactly the reason why you have to bide your time sometimes. Whenever you see a siege, don't rush in, you know? Don't rush in, just kind of wait around a little bit. See what happens with the varieties of units in the area, because it might very well be that maybe a friendly army comes along and is like, hello there, I'm ready to help you. Or they have their cohesion completely collapse on themselves, and as a result, they then have this particular thing happen to them, and we can completely dismantle them. I'm actually just going to go for a full auto-resolve here. We lost 0 once again, and we're going to continue taking all of them prisoner, as many people prisoner as we can get our hands on. This influence is obviously going to be very helpful for us as well, because we can obviously continue to try to persuade people, you know, to like us just that little bit more, and so on. But anyway, hopefully I'll be able to chase down most of these. I don't know where the other army has gone, because don't know whether you noticed, but the remaining little remnants of Adram's army, they went off to the right as well, and they formed a new army, so that's obviously a bit problematic. Alright, so we have a pretty even siege on our hands here. Not in terms of combat strength, but definitely in terms of numbers. So I have just built 4 trebuchets here, and I thought, hey, you know what? You probably want to see just how powerful trebuchets are now, because for me, in the past, in previous versions, trebuchets have died very, very fast. They have been destroyed extremely quickly, and, well, hopefully that is not going to happen this time. However, as you can see, the enemy is actually using a combination of ballistas and catapults, and that is making all the difference in how effective they are. Look at this! They're actually eliminating my trebuchets right now. I am extremely surprised. Wow, okay. That is, I think, actually that's probably the first time any trebuchet, well, maybe more than one trebuchet, shall we say, has been destroyed in any siege in this particular series so far. Because most of the time, they are just so powerful that they're never, ever in danger of being destroyed. And even if they are, it doesn't really matter, because at that point the walls are so incredibly dead and destroyed and dented and everything. It is perfectly fine, so not too big a deal. I did actually see a relatively large Battanian army nearby, so it could be that they will decide to attack us sometime soon. However, what I'm going to do now is lead an assault. Here we go. This is going to be fun, because this is Maranath. This is one of the more profitable towns in the entirety of the game, basically, because they are very close by to a village that provides a certain amount of iron ore, which I think is pretty good. Obviously, it's not as good as Epicrotia, because Epicrotia, of course, has 2 iron villages quite close by, but Maranath's is basically within 1 second travel time of the town, which is just crazy. And Epicrotia, you do need to go a little bit further. So villagers and caravans and so on that want to transport things, they do have an opportunity to get preyed upon, but the one for Maranath is extremely secure. So if you're worried about bandits or something, or enemy vassals preying upon your iron ore business and reducing the amount of money that you make from a smithy, I'd probably build one in Maranath. That's probably going to be the most secure one, but Epicrotia is going to give you the most cash. So obviously there's that to consider as well. Yeah, I'm being a bit careful here. Don't really want to get murdered if I can help it. Thank you. Yep, murder, murder. Yes, more murdering. There we go. Thank you very much. That is exactly all we need. We just need the murdering. That is all. That is all we like. And, oh, you know what? This would have been fantastic with my two-handed out, but I'm a bit worried about being shot. That was the main reason why I didn't get it out before. Yeah, look, there we go, there we go. I'm actually starting to get shot. The AI knows. The AI is like, oh, look at that. The player has put away the shield. Yes, yes, I know, I know. They do generally tend to do that, which is quite funny. But that is smart, you know, that is smart, insidious, you could say. You know, them specifically targeting someone without a shield, but, you know, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Oh, wait a minute. Be a bit careful here. Going a little bit too offensive. Get him. 94 damage and not a kill. That means he hasn't taken any damage whatsoever. Come on now, guys. We've got to do a little bit more damage than that, thank you. We're getting a lot of kills. I actually wonder whether I'm leveling up my two-handed weapon proficiency at all at this point. Because for me, there we go, I've got 121 in two-handed weapon proficiency. Well, that's very slow, isn't it? Yeah, I would have expected me to have about 180 by now, considering I've used it so often. But, you know, maybe I just haven't gotten into as many fights as I really need to. And maybe I haven't used it as effectively as I could as well. Oh, yeah. Oh, I was thinking we might be able to get some crush-throughs right here, but maybe I don't even need that. I'm thinking that maybe I need to use different types of attacks to gain more proficiency faster. Not entirely sure if that's the case. I think it's just literally using things. No, Sega! Yeah, I'm getting used to it now. I'm getting much more used to our vassals perishing in battle. But that is a very large siege. It was very large. Unfortunately, Kareen is still alive. I'm not entirely sure why that happened, but okay. Considering we are the attackers and we basically lost only about 100 units out of the... How many we had? 1,000 or something? Yeah, I personally feel like it would have been much easier for us to had an enemy die, but oh well. Never mind, never mind. And as someone rightly mentioned in the comments, by the way, the amount of vassals is required, especially when you have death enabled. And that's true. Very, very good point. I did not think of that. I just thought that, you know, if they reduce the vassals, then obviously it's going to be a lot easier for us to sort of move around and everything, because there are just so many that you can't help but run into at least one or two just going from point A to B in the most remote place in the game. So it's a bit weird, but oh well. Never mind. We are now going to... Oh, look at that. 90,000. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, look at that. 11,000 already. And then we're just going to see how much we're going to gain here. Alright, so I'm not going to bankrupt them or anything like that, but I could very easily do that, as you can see. They only have 3,200 remaining. I'm actually wondering whether I should... Never mind. They don't have any food. Technically, I could sell food here for a pretty significant profit. This is also what I was talking about previously, how to level up trade skill. Trade skill is super, super fun to level up when you are primarily playing a trader and you're not really doing that much combat. And I'd recommend going to a place that has a huge amount of grain villages nearby and basically just buying grain at about 7 or 8 gold per one, and then just going to a nearby town that has literally just recently had a siege and just offloading almost all your grain and keeping enough for yourself, obviously, to feed your troops and so on. But that is going to get you some really nice early trade skill benefits. But otherwise, there you go. Okay, so is there anything else that I actually want to sell here? Because we do have a number of pieces of stuff. So we've got fur, got some linen. Don't ask me how I got this stuff. Must have been from looting or defeating caravans or something along those lines, because I don't remember buying this at all. So let's just sell all of this, sell the clay as well. And technically I'm not really going to do any other smithing. So I'm just going to actually sell that, and then we'll just kind of offload a little bit, shall we say. Okay, so we're going to just disband the army now, because I'd like to run after a bunch of these units, and hopefully my people will also be able to do that. Oh, really? They're that fast? It seems indeed that they are. I'm catching. Yeah, I move so much slower in forests than the Battanians do. But when we're not in a forest, oh yeah, that's when I catch up. That is great. Obviously, you do have to bear in mind that we do have a couple of wounded units as well, so that does indeed slow us down a little bit. But if I can eliminate most of these, then the Battanians will be in such a bad spot that the Sturgians should be able, and I say should, you know, with a little bit of an asterisk there, should be able to push their advantage to the end and hopefully be able to capture most of their territory. Unfortunately, we don't know whether that's going to happen, because we need to take a look at who else they're at war against. Okay, apparently they're not at war against anyone else, so it seems to me like no one else is going to be able to take advantage of this situation with the Battanians. So there's 2,500 combat strength. We could technically, once some of our other armies, you know, other vassals have restored themselves a little bit, we could technically do a little bit of an army again and try to do some sieges once more. But I'm just going to run around here. This is basically what I do off screen as well, by the way. I just basically eliminate a couple of vassals here and there just with some very simple auto resolves, because they are just so weak right now. The Battanians really can just be preyed upon by pretty much anyone. And as you can see, we now have the opportunity to potentially gain Maranath. I am actually going to be taking this for myself. And generally what I would like to do is kind of have a bit of a triumvirate, a little bit of a triangle of towns here. So what I'd like to see is Sionan, Maranath, and maybe Dunglanis as my towns, because that's going to then enable us to potentially take other things in the area as well. So if I wanted to take Pencannock, then I could take that. If I wanted to take Caerban-Seth, then I could take that as well. By take, I mean claim, obviously. But otherwise, same thing with Lagator as well, because I do have Rote right there too. You got to obviously bear in mind that the game is actually somewhat strategic as well. It's not all about the action RPG elements and, you know, running around and doing economy and all that stuff. But anyway, we do have 80 in engineering now, so we can now build fire versions of siege engines. I actually thought we were capable of doing that beforehand, but maybe not. Anyway, there you go. That's perfectly fine. We are now the new owner of Maranath, so I should probably go over there and see if I can manage a couple of things. Godoon is running around with a massive army. Nice to see that. And let me actually just have a look. Okay, so let's manage the town. And as you can see, we already have 97 construction. And if I add a couple of tens of thousands here, we can even add another 50 construction, which is just fantastic. It's going to do so much to speed things up. As you can see, this marketplace is going to allow us to have a plus a 30% bonus to taxes, which is fantastic. And that's going to really help us to minimize the amount of money that we're currently hemorrhaging. If you've wondered, we're actually losing about 10,000 per day, which is very bad. But hopefully that's not going to be too bad once I purchase a smithy in the town. Alright, so with that workshop purchased, as you can see right there, that's the village I was talking about. Extremely close. And even if you wanted to, basically what you could do is you could go over here and you could manually take iron ore and put it in the marketplace in Maranath, and then your smithy would use that. So if you get a good sale price, then you might be able to do that. Let's see how many they have in Dunglanis. Oh, that's actually kind of significant. Oh, that's maybe a bit too significant for my liking. Okay, well, we're just going to continue to run around, do some auto resolves here, and that's the thing. I think I would love to take it. I would love to take Dunglanis because that would be another town for us, and we'd be able to make even more money, which is exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make some inroads to try to reduce the amount of cash that we're currently spending and to increase our passive income in some way or another. And that is very difficult to do, unfortunately, especially when this garrison has such a significant presence. But we might be able to do it. I don't know. I think we will probably be able to. Let me just call for another army and we'll see what happens. Ooh, we actually have a huge number of cavalry with us right now. I am extremely excited to actually utilize some of these. This is, I think, Incurions? I think there's a whole bunch. These are Imperials, right? Yeah. What? How is he running around with so many? Look at this. This is absolute insanity. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're literally going to charge everyone. Yes, everybody, let us charge. I am literally going to remove my shield right now and go to town. Well, I got shot in the neck. I guess that's what happens when you go off by yourself, but I was having a lot of fun. And I got carried away a little bit there because I was like, I'm a berserker, you can't kill me. Oh, never mind, I got shot in the neck. Great. Oh well, never mind. We are going to achieve victory here. It is just a matter of time, of course. We have such a significant cavalry presence that I don't even know how we would be able to fail at this point, considering usually if I'm playing with just infantry, I have a pretty decent chance of losing a lot of units if I decide to just charge straight on in, dependent on the enemy's composition, of course. But in this case, because we had so many cavalry, it was a foregone conclusion that we'd be able to do something here. Andros has just been killed, as you can quite clearly see there. And Rickelder is actually also from the enemy, so that is fine. So we lost one person from our side and one person from the enemy side. So that's a bit of an even trade right there. And we are gaining a couple of additional clans as we go forward in our campaign here as well. So even if we do end up losing one or two vassals, that shouldn't make too much of a difference because we are obviously reimbursing them, you know, gaining more and more as time goes on. I haven't seen anyone be killed in an auto-resolve yet. I know someone mentioned to me a while ago that they did see a number of people being killed, and that would say, or should we say suggest, that it is possible for people to die in auto-resolve, but I haven't seen that myself yet when I have been the one doing an auto-resolve. So it might very well be that it doesn't work with the player, but it might work when NPCs are fighting other NPCs. That might be the mechanic that's currently going on there. And you might need to go in manually for the player character to actually see any kind of demise of the opponent, or indeed of allies as well. Who knows? But otherwise, Amorcon? This is a weird name. That's actually kind of hilarious, because Amorcon, isn't there a person called Morcon as well? So this guy's literally Amorcon rather than Morcon. And how many times am I going to say Morcon? I don't know, but quite a few. And yet another auto-resolve on our hands here. Thankfully, we had Epitheria here to actually help us out, because she was previously in my army, and I decided to disband the army because, well, for some reason, some of the other vassals that I needed to actually come and help us with the siege at Dunglanis were not appearing for some reason. So I decided to disband the army for the moment and let everyone recuperate their forces, including myself, because we actually still have just 275. But if you navigate to my party screen here, you can see that I actually have a maximum company size of 350 plus. So it would probably make sense for me to go back to my garrisons and see what I can do there. Now, bear in mind that I think there's actually some activity going on near Epicrotia, so I might need to go over there as well and see what's happening, because as far as I'm aware, one of my patrols, because I actually was utilizing a patrol to defend Mekalovia Castle and around the surrounding area where Epicrotia is, because I wanted to make sure that my iron villages were left alone as much as they possibly could be, and so I instituted a patrol there to hopefully stem the tide of bandits and various other interloping vassals in the area, and hopefully that would make a bit of a difference. And it seems like it is, because I did just receive word from one of my patrols that they had engaged some of the enemy. Now, my patrol had about 150 units inside it, so I'm not entirely sure how it's doing, but it seemed to be fine because I didn't receive any word that it was defeated or anything like that. So, should be okay. Anyway, this is what the map currently looks like. We're currently eating into the Battanians a little bit, but we really do need the Sturgians to kind of pick up the slack a little bit, because it feels to me like I'm the one doing most of the heavy lifting. But we'll see whether that stays the way it is, as it is right now. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like if you so desire. You don't have to, obviously. But otherwise, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.